All right, it is time to talk about the lesbian star tattoo, and this is not it. Or at least, it's not how it started. Welcome back to Yesterqueers. My name's Amanda. I'm a public historian of queer history, and for Pride this year, I'm diving into the history of all sorts of queer symbols and slang. This is the historic lesbian star tattoo, a 5-pointed star tattooed on the top of the wrist and small enough to be covered by a watch. The internet will tell you that lesbians started tattooing nautical stars on themselves in the 1940s and 50s, but that's not accurate. This trend originates very specifically with the tough bar lesbians of Buffalo, New York in the 1950s, and it didn't have anything to do with nautical stars at first. As I've discussed in other videos, the homophile movement that gained momentum in the United States in the 1950s was very focused on assimilation. Both the Mattachine Society and the Daughters of Bilitis wanted to prove that gay people were just like everybody else. That meant that they distanced themselves from anyone who they saw as detrimental to the movement. For lesbian activists, that meant working-class lesbians, black lesbians and lesbians of color, and gender non-conforming lesbians. Buffalo is a really interesting case study in lesbian culture at this time because they didn't have any homophile organizations yet, but lesbians still became both more publicly visible and more defiant of the status quo throughout the 50s. Out of this came what Kennedy and Davis describe in Boots of Leather, Slippers of Gold as a new style of butch. This was not a wealthy woman in a perfectly creased suit, but instead a woman who dressed in working-class male clothes and went to the bar every day, not just on weekends. She was streetwise and fought back physically when provoked by straight society or by other lesbians. Her presence anywhere meant potential trouble. These tough bar lesbians were rabble-rousers, sure, but they were also the anchors of the lesbian community in Buffalo. Not only were they visibly queer all of the time, severely limiting their own options for housing and employment, by the way, but they also took it upon themselves to welcome newcomers, explaining the community's unspoken rules and etiquette, and making sure that women who were new to the scene understood both the rewards and the risks of living their lives as lesbians. It's a few of these butches and their femmes who, on a night of partying in 1950, piled into Dirty Dick's tattoo shop on Chippewa Street and had tiny 5-pointed stars tattooed on their wrists. To quote Kennedy and Davis again, the cultural push to be identified as lesbians was so powerful that it generated a new form of identification among the tough bar lesbians, a star tattoo on the top of the wrist, which was usually covered by a watch. This was the first symbol of community identity that did not rely on butch femme imagery. The fact that the star tattoo was created by those who were firmly into roles, by the group that was considered the butchy butches, suggests that the force to assert lesbian identity was strong enough to break through the existing traditions based in butch femme roles. The small star continues to be a trend in some Buffalo lesbian communities, and in the 1970s it spread nationwide and morphed to focus on the nautical star specifically and placement on the inside of the wrist. That's it for today. As always, more information, including sources and further reading, is available in the usual place.